sure. But we're over to door number 2.
Door number 2.
Mayor, great to see you.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Excellent. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor? Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. Beautiful.
Campion. Okay.
Thank you. Stand on the spot. Who's up first there? I'm the first one. Go ahead, Mayor.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here today, and I'm pleased to welcome Premier Ford, Minister Flack, MPP and Minister Osterhoff, and other distinguished guests as we celebrate the hard work done here in Niagara over the last year. Here in St. Catharines, this is a recognition of our staff and their efforts to meet our housing targets. But today also reflects the commitment and the hard work of our council, which remains united in delivering on our pledge of 11,000 new homes. Our unanimous support for housing projects shows our dedication to meeting the needs of our growing community. To continue building more homes, we must also focus on the critical infrastructure that makes housing possible: roads, water, transit, and other foundational systems. These connect our neighborhoods and they support long-term sustainable growth. They're also often behind the scenes, but they're what make new communities livable and resilient. The progress we're making is a testament to what can happen when all levels of government work together. With continued collaboration and momentum, we're building a stronger, more inclusive St. Catharines, and one that meets the needs of today and prepares for the challenges of tomorrow. Together, we're making housing happen here in St. Catharines, and we thank Premier Ford and his government for their partnership in making that occur. I will now introduce Mayor Campion from Welland.
Hey, thanks for that. They're calling me Campione because I married an Italian. So first of all, I do want to thank Premier Ford. I should put my glasses on. I'm not used to reading something. I would like to thank Premier Ford and Minister Flack for Welland's allocation of the Building Fund, Faster Fund. I really do appreciate it. This is a true example of partnerships between the province, municipalities, local staffs, and builders. So it's something that is really important to us. The funds are supporting comprehensive infrastructure renewal project on First Street in Welland between King Street and Dover Road. The work includes replacing aging water and sewer mains with new PVC pipes and fully reconstructing the road with fresh asphalt, new concrete, curbs, gutters, and sidewalks. Total investment for this project is $3.2 million, so the money is very welcome, and if there's more, we're certainly happy to have a conversation on that. But more importantly about this project, these upgrades aren't just about replacing old pipes and pavement. They're about preparing First Street for the future, and that's really what we're doing here, all of us. You know, we have today, but the future is more and more housing that is required. The investment is critical in supporting significant new development, including medium, high-density residential housing and a vital affordable housing project from Habitat for Humanity. In total, the improvements we're making on First Street will help pave the way. This is a word that was given to me by my CAO, Rob Axiak, if you want to use the word pave, to creating more than 350 housing units in this area. That's a significant number for us in just one area of our town, which would not happen without the infrastructure that we're putting in there. We're building infrastructure that will deliver better capacity, stronger performance, and more reliable service, which will support our growing community and inclusive and ready, future-ready Welland. So it's providing us what we need now, but also what we need in the future, and it is what's going to make it work. As a side note, Premier Ford and Mr. Flack, I'm pleased to inform you that Welland has thus far issued 395 dwelling unit building permits for 2005. So I expect we'll see you here. sorry, that's what, 2025, yeah. I don't know what I said. However, I expect that we'll see you here again with more checks and looking forward to a bright future for housing in Ontario and certainly in Welland and Niagara. So thank you, and I'm going to pass it on to Mayor Diodati, who has indicated he doesn't need any notes.
Thanks very much, Mayor Campion. Appreciate you. And I want to say thank you so much to the Premier for being here. This guy, the thing I love about him is when he says something, it turns into action instantly. It's not words, it's actions, and that's what I like. And also, we're grateful to have Minister Flack here, who's going to, I know, be a big champion for all things for us here in housing. And also, of course, Minister Oosterhoff, who's always been our champion, who's always carried the flag, who always brings our issues to Queen's Park. You know, because of the Building Faster Fund and this check behind me, it's going to allow us in Niagara Falls to build housing in our downtown. It'll be between 300 and 400 unit complex. That'll be a public-private partnership that'll have affordable, attainable, and market rents in the downtown, in an area that we're revitalizing, that's going through a regentrification. And a lot of us are dealing with, you know, unfortunately, our downtowns have died because of plazas and malls, and now they're coming back, and the way we're going to do it with people living there. So with this investment, it's going to help us turn things around, build more housing, and help more of the public. So grateful to all of you for these great announcements, and now I get the great pleasure of introducing the Minister of Housing and the Municipal Affairs and Housing, Minister Flack, also known, as I'm told, as Flacky. So I'd like to welcome him to the podium.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and it obviously is a great pleasure to be here. I see the chair back and the honourable member, former member, and we had a great meeting this morning with the Greater Niagara Chamber of Commerce, and Sam and I were glad to be part of those discussions and seeing how we can get more homes built faster right across Niagara and right across this province. So, Mayor Diodati and Mayor Campion, you're leading the way on getting shovels in the ground. All of you, our government has an ambitious goal to build more homes across our province faster and smarter, and we're privileged to have you as partners. I always enjoy being able to join my colleague, Minister Sam Oosterhoff, in this beautiful neck of the woods here in Niagara. Having been here for a lot of times throughout my life, you certainly do a great job, and obviously it's a pleasure to be here for a great day and of announcements and delivering these checks with Premier Ford. We know that we're in the midst of a housing crisis. I don't think that there's any doubt about that. Why, folks? Our population has grown significantly. As I always tell the story, when I was in high school, the population was around 8 million people. It's now doubled to 16 million people, and we've not been able to keep pace in terms of our housing needs. As a result, costs have risen to the point where families, first-time home buyers, and seniors are being priced right out of the market. Our government, led by Premier Ford, recognizes that this must change, that this has to change. That is why our Building Faster Fund rewards municipalities that build homes with funding to help them build needed infrastructure, key infrastructure, because we recognize that you cannot build homes without water access, roads, sidewalks, sewer systems, and more. And folks, we're not just stopping there. Earlier this month, a couple of weeks ago, we passed Bill 17, the Protect Ontario Building Faster and Smarter Act. It's a very comprehensive piece of legislation that will increase certainty for home builders and reduce the time it takes to get shovels in the ground. It's a significant step in the right direction, creating the conditions home builders need to do what they do best, and that's build homes. It takes too long and it costs too much to build homes in Ontario. We're changing that. Our goal is simple: to ensure more people can own their own piece of Ontario. It is, after all, the quintessential Canadian dream. Alongside my colleagues, industry and municipal partners like Mayor Diodati, Siscoe, and Campion, we will make the dream of home ownership come true for thousands of families right across this province. We know that building more homes means building lives, stronger communities, and a brighter future for the people of this great province. Thank you. It is now my pleasure to introduce our Premier, Premier Doug Ford, to the stage. Thank you.
Oh, boy. Well, first of all, good afternoon, everyone, and it's just so great to be back in beautiful Niagara, especially for today's announcement alongside Minister Flacky, and yes, everyone calls him Flacky, and and Minister Oosterhoff. And I have to tell you, Sam, you've done an incredible job leading this whole region. And I just want to thank you for all your hard work, because Sam doesn't represent one riding. I think he represents 4 or 5 in the area, and he's doing a great job. And as well as some truly incredible local leaders, Mayor Jim Diodati, thanks, Mayor. And I know we're rebuilding that whole Niagara region. And Mayor Frank Campion, thank you. And Mayor Matt Siscoe. And I want to thank Mayor Siscoe for hosting us all here today in beautiful St. Catharines. And I also want to thank all 3 of these fantastic mayors for their continued partnership and helping our government protect Ontario and build for the future. And, you know, Flack, you were saying the population has grown. You know, back when you were in high school in the 1930s, we only had 8 million people. Now it's grown tremendously, but anyways, you always set me up. I can't help it when you lobball that into me every time we do a press conference. But anyways, folks, we all know that this is a serious time for our province, with President Trump taking direct aim at our economy. Our government is doing everything in its power to cut red tape and make Ontario and Canada the strongest economy in the G7. Our government has a plan to protect Ontario from President Trump's tariffs by building a province that is more competitive, more resilient, and more self-reliant. As part of that plan, we're investing over $200 billion in infrastructure. That includes investments in roads and highways, transit, hospitals, schools, and homes. Here in Niagara, we're twinning the Garden City Skyway to make sure this critical piece of highway is in good repair and can keep up with the increased demand, because Niagara is becoming a hotbed for people moving here, and it's such a beautiful area. We're delivering 2-way all-day service on GO Transit through our GO Expansion program. Last year, we announced the largest GO Transit service expansion in more than a decade. We recently completed upgrades to the West Harbour GO station, which will save commuters in Niagara Falls and St. Catharines 15 minutes round trip and allow for 4 times as many trips between Niagara Falls and Hamilton. We're building and upgrading hospitals, including the South New Niagara Hospital, which I told is $3.1 billion. We're supporting Niagara's incredible tourism industry, and we're creating new opportunities for Niagara's world-class wineries. And folks, I talked to the people over at LCBO, and the amount of wine that people have transitioned from California over to Niagara, they told me the numbers are through the roof. So that's, yeah, how much, 45? 45%. Yeah, it's incredible. So keep drinking that Niagara wine. And of course, we're making record investments to get shovels in the ground faster for new homes, including a total investment of more than $62 million in projects across Niagara to enable the construction of more than 17,000 new homes. So you just do the multiple of 2 or 3 people live in that home. That's a lot of people coming to the region through the Housing Enabling Water System Fund and the Municipal Housing Infrastructure Program. And today, I'm here with even more good news. 2 years ago, our government established the $1.2 billion Building Faster Fund to encourage municipalities to speed up approvals, issue permits, and get shovels in the ground faster. And Mayor Campion nailed it, and I know the other mayors agree, or Mayor Siscoe and as well, I think, mentioned it. But we can't do anything, and the mayors can't do anything without their council. You know, I've walked a mile in their shoes. Council is so important. And when council and the mayor and the province all work together, we're unstoppable. So I want to give a shout out to all the great municipal councillors out there as well. Municipalities that hit at least 80% of their target will receive funding through this program, with money that can be used for housing and community infrastructure, so we can get even more homes built in the years to come. Today, I'm delighted to announce that St. Catharines, Niagara Falls, and Welland have all hit their threshold and will be receiving funding through the Building Faster Fund. So congratulations. That's great. So St. Catharines hit 85% of their target and will receive $2.5 million. Niagara Falls beat its target. See, Diodati loves to beat everyone with 116% of their target and will receive more than $2.8 million. And Welland beat its target with 114% and will receive nearly $1.5 million. And that's a combined total of $6.8 million for these three municipalities. Again, I just want to congratulate Mayor Siscoe, Mayor Diodati, and Mayor Campion for their leadership in helping get homes built here in the Niagara region. They're absolute champions for their cities and for Niagara, and I'm just so pleased to be able to work with them, and I hope that this money will be used to get even more homes built so I can come back with a bigger check for you. And I know, Mayor, you're already on, to Mayor Campion's on target. So this guy beside you is competitive. He's going to want to beat you, and I know Mayor Siscoe's competitive. But this is great. And again, I just want to thank everyone for being here today, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you. Thank you. That's good.
We will now take questions from the media. Media present can form a line behind me and ask their questions through the microphone. As a friendly reminder, the format is one question and one follow-up. Please state your name and your outlet before your question.
Hi, Premier Ford. Karina Walter from the St. Catharines Standard.
Hi.
Hello. Last week, the mayors of Fort Erie and Port Colborne made direct pleas to you and to your health minister, asking you to reverse a decision by Niagara Health. The hospital system is closing its urgent care centers in Fort Erie and Port Colborne 1 day a week and on holidays throughout the summer, from July to September. The health system has said they made the decision because it has a critical shortage of emergency trained physicians. And the mayors are saying that it's not safe for their residents, tourists, and cottagers. They're calling on you to immediately reinstate daily operations at both urgent care centers. I'm wondering if this is on your radar, if there's anything the province is willing to do for this particular situation. And I guess overall, what does it say about the state of the healthcare system in Ontario that we have communities losing urgent care centers for 1 day a week?
Well, first of all, it's always very concerning, but these are summer hours, and we can't get the personnel. That's what it comes down to. If I had doctors and nurses all over the place, yes, that's not a problem at all. But Niagara Health, they're the ones that are looking at it and coming up with these situations. But let me tell you what we have done here in Niagara. Unlike a lot of regions in the area, I mentioned that we're built the new Niagara Hospital, $3.1 billion into this region. And as well, Sam, in your area, Grimsby, another $224 million. And then we just gave for primary care another $2 million for 10,000 patients, so family docs. And stay tuned over the next week. We're going to make another announcement, a really good announcement for more primary care. That is where we're going to focus our funds and our resources for primary care. And it's unfortunate that summer hours and everyone's on holidays, but you see this every single summer. It's like Groundhog Day over and over again. The docs need holidays, the nurses need holidays. If I had an ample amount of docs that want to come to this region, by all means. The problem is human resources. And we're putting the medical schools, we're building medical schools, we're registered over 16,000 more docs, 100,000 more nurses, 30,000 nursing students are in school right now. So we're putting the resources in. It's an unprecedented amount of money we're spending. Folks, it's $91 billion. And I just got back from Boston, had 6 governors, and I told them we're spending $91 billion. That's larger than complete budgets of certain states on healthcare. So do we have to look at better ways of delivering it and continuous improvement? 100%. We're going to continue getting feedback from frontline folks. So by no means is this region being ignored. Actually, we're pouring money in. And next week, stay tuned. There's more money coming here for healthcare. And I apologize if it shuts down for a day in the summer. But I'm a big advocate to make sure we have proper healthcare in this region.
When we're talking about physician recruitment, which seems to be part of the problem here, we're hearing from recently recruited internationally trained physicians about their frustration with delays that they're facing while dealing with the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program. After arriving here in Niagara to fill desperately needed roles within our hospitals and communities, some of them feel that they're in limbo while they're waiting for their Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program nominations, and some are considering leaving the province. They're also concerned about a lack of communication about their status under the program. and what they might expect to hear. Is your government taking any steps to resolve that
Well,
situation?
the nominee program, really, at the end of the day, immigration's all controlled by the federal government. And certain areas, we need to make sure we keep people, and especially talented people. We do have a program, if they were a doc in the US or anywhere across Canada, or in the UK or Ireland or Australia, I think there's one other country, they get expedited. Now, I don't know the status of each one of these docs. They have to go through the College of Physicians, Surgeons and Physicians, and get approved. But on the immigration, I'd have to look into each case, because when I look into it, one person's from some country that's not in the program and so on and so forth. But if they're within the boundaries of those countries, and they should be expedited. Matter of fact, we can get them expedited probably in a week or so. So I'd really have to look at it case by case. And if they reach out to me, I'll reach out to the Minister of Labor and find out. But keep in mind, folks, I get endless calls for immigration. Immigration does not fall under the province. I do my best, but it falls under the federal government. And be very frank, no matter what party's in charge up there, immigration's a tough file up there. No one seems to be able to get it together, no matter if it was the Conservatives or Liberals, because there's a tremendous amount of people. Give you an example. Yesterday, when I was with Mayor Chow, just Toronto grew by 237,000 people in 1 year. Like, where do you put everyone? Where do you put the housing, the infrastructure, the roads, the highways? I go down to towns in the U.S. and big cities are 230,000, 300,000. It's like every year we're getting a city like the size of Boston, it seems. So we're doing everything we can to keep up with the immigration.
All right, thank you.
Premier Ford, Martin Trainer, CBC News.
Hi, Martin.
You're saying Ontario wine sales are up 45%, but LCBO is reporting wine sales are down 13% in the province. So how much of a hit is the province taking due to your government pulling American wine from
I
Ontario?
don't know if people are changing the wine. I met with the CEO this morning, face to face in the chair, and they're telling me Ontario wines are through the roof. I didn't ask the overall sales, and it's almost like the beer. A lot of people are changing their drinking habits. You know, some people are, changing to coolers. I'm not a drinker, so I don't know, but these guys drink like fish, so ask them which one, what is changing, and what do you guys drink? Anything? You'll drink anything, Flacky.
You're switching to American to Ontario.
Yeah, well, it is. It's going up. So as long as we're supporting Ontario wineries, that's what I want to take care of these people and local spirit folks like that 40 company that sells a good 40 Creek. That's it, 40 Creek. What a great place that is. I might have to stop over and get you a bottle. I will.
And Premier Ford, you've spoken out against repeat offenders getting bail. However, multiple cases of convicted criminals are not getting a lenient sentence because of a mass strip search at Maple House Jail in December 23. Are you not at least a bit upset at the actions of provincial staff are leading to criminals being released early?
Well, first of all, anyone who doesn't follow the rules will be dealt with. Simple as that. Everyone, they might be criminals, but they're human. We got to treat everyone with respect and under the rules. And as for releasing, I'm not going to go on my rant again, but I can't tell you how many messages I got from my little rant yesterday and it doesn't matter what race, creed, color, status in society you are. I just got flooded full of messages saying it's about time someone's calling these people up. You can't have the largest drug bust in the history of Peel, 500 kilos of cocaine, and out of the 6, I think 1 is in jail. They're all out on bail for the second or third time. It just doesn't cut it with the people. They're frustrated, and then getting cars stolen and kicking doors in and walking into grocery stores with hockey bags. And it's happened at LCBO, and they just start loading everything up. You can't run a province or a city under lawlessness. There has to be accountability. These people have to go to jail. These judges cannot keep letting people out on bail. It's crazy. And then people shooting up other people's houses. The other bus, that's 15 people, and they're all out on bail too. I think 1, they kept them in. But then we find out they were already out on probation. So what gives? We have to throw these people in jail, and we have to be tough on crime. And this is a conversation we're going to have at COF when we get together and the FMM meeting with all the premiers. I think it's this week, I believe.
Hi, Premier Siobhan Morris from CTV News. I actually do want to pick up on something that was in your rant from yesterday. You showed support for a man that you had said shot in the air in Vaughan. York Regional Police say he didn't. He fired several shots, potentially at a vehicle. And he's been charged with a bunch of gun offenses that include having an illegal gun or not having proper documentation for a gun. Is that somebody you should be talking about raising money for?
Well, you know something, good point, Siobhan. I heard that he's shooting up in the air, but here nor there, what it comes down to, let me tell you, the frustration of people trying to protect their home. And I've heard over and over again how these thugs kick the doors in at 2 o'clock in the morning, and the kids are there, and the wife's there, and the husband's there, and they put a gun to their heads. Just imagine that. It's just terrifying for these people. And then they take the keys and they take off, or they'll rob them at 2 o'clock in the morning. But it just continuously happens. And then after doing that, they're out on jail. And by the way, I did say yesterday, I don't condone that. I do not condone someone pulling out a gun, but it shows the frustration of people. And I know these folks right behind me, someone's kicking in their door and they have little children and their wife. Like, you're fighting for your life at that point, right? It's, no hold bars and just go full tilt. And it's unfortunate. And guess what? Then they get charged if they get caught. They mock the police in the back of the cruiser. I talked to a police officer today. Yeah, I got the guy, and all they're doing is mocking us in the back. I'll be out tomorrow. And it's so frustrating for the police that are putting literally their lives on the line, and watch these criminals just get released. And going back to the 500 kilos, do you know how many resources and money that was put in to bust these guys? You had the DEA in the U.S., the U.S. Border Patrol, the Canadian Border Patrol, the task force with OPP and Peel Region and all the other police. There's millions of dollars being spent for one bleeding heart judge to say, you're all out. I don't know anyone in Ontario that agrees with that. Not one single person. So something has to give with our court system. It's out of control. It's done. It's failing. And we have to make massive changes with the federal government, and it falls on the federal government. Bail reform, mandatory sentencing, something has to give. It'll be top of mind when I speak with the PM today.
You're speaking with him today, are you getting sort of a recap of the G7? Are you talking about these priorities then as well?
I'll get a recap of the G7. I'll also say a couple of our concerns, be it the steel sector that's down the street. I met with 20 steel executives yesterday, and their concerns. But what we are going to do, we're going to start onshoring everything, no matter if it's beer cans or steel beams or whatever. Enough with President Trump. Folks, we're an economic powerhouse. We're no slouches. We're one of the powerhouses around the world, but one of the powerhouses in North America. And we're just going to start onshoring, producing beer cans, soda cans, everything. And too bad for the U.S. They just lost $1 billion, probably even more than $1 billion. And we're going to start onboarding the steel sector to save the Dofascos, the Stelcos, and everyone else that was in the office yesterday. We're going to protect them. We're going to protect the people's jobs. And we're going to do whatever we can to fight against Donald Trump.
Hi, Premier. Laura Stone, Globe and Mail.
Hey, Laura.
Hey, you've referenced a couple times now your meeting with the 40 chiefs this week. Can we get some basic details of that? Is that the Anishinaabe Nation chiefs? Is it when is it? Is it at Queen's Park?
It's tomorrow. Yeah, it's going to be tomorrow, and look forward to seeing you there. And we'll have a little press conference after. Great. It's to sit down with the 40 chiefs and have a conversation with them. That there's an opportunity of a lifetime for them. We're giving them $3 billion, with a B, $3 billion to be equity partners to make their communities more prosperous and wealthier and have services they've never had before. A lot of these communities, vast majority, are living on diesel throughout the winter. They don't even have roads. They don't get fresh fruit. So this is going to change their lives. And then on top of it, We're going to give them $70 million for training, similar like the Skills Development Fund, to train up their community. And then the last one is $10 million for scholarships. And wouldn't it be great if a young Indigenous person goes out and gets a free scholarship ride and becomes whatever, engineer, lawyer, doctor, whatever they decide to do. But this is like handing an opportunity on a silver platter to First Nations that by the way, I have treated like gold. And over again, the chiefs, national chiefs, the regional chiefs, other chiefs have told me we've never had more access to a premier ever, as long as they can remember. So like I tell Rickford all the time, I should be the Minister of Indigenous Affairs because I get calls every single day. And when I first came into office, I told Minister Rickford, treat them well, give them what they need, whatever they want for them to prosper. But there's going to be a point that you can't just keep coming hat in hand all the time to the government. You got to be able to take care of yourselves. And when you literally have gold mines, nickel mines, every type of critical mineral that the world wants, and you're saying, no, I don't want to touch that. By the way, give me money. Not going to happen. It's simple. It will help them develop the mines and become very prosperous in their communities, something they've never had ever in their entire lives. And I'm bending over backwards to make sure we take care of them. But it's a two-way street here. And so I look forward to the meeting, actually. I've met a lot of them. I think I've met all of them many times.
Premier, with respect, if you're treating them like gold, as you say, why are a predominant number of them all coming out against you? I mean, they're saying that they want economic development for their communities. They want a better future, but they dislike greatly Bill 5 and the way you've approached this.
Well, first of all, we're under consultation with them. We're always going to respect treaty rights. We're always going to have duty to consult. And Laura, you know, let's be honest with the folks here. Saul, which you're down there all the time, head of the NDP member, he likes stirring it up. Ask Saul how many mines are in his area. Quite a few of them. And when it comes to duty consult, I've learned many things, but one thing I've learned, you become an equity partner with the Indigenous community, that's the consulting. Let's start moving. They want to move. They want to get shovels in the ground and move forward. So we're going to continue with a consultation all the way through the summer. Minister Rickford is going to be visiting a lot of communities along with Minister Lecce, and it's going to be their choice. Either want to be stagnant and live on diesel and live on, you know, not getting fresh fruit, not getting your kids properly given an opportunity to thrive and prosper, that's fine. Go for it. But I'll guarantee you there's going to be endless chiefs saying, wow, this is an opportunity. They're going to be progressive and they're going to want opportunities. Mark my words, remember this conversation. They're going to have endless opportunities. Those who don't want it, fine. Those who do, we're going to support.
Hi, Adam from CHCH. Driving through each of these communities, it's pretty clear there's a shortage of low-income housing. There are encampments, people living on the streets. What's your immediate plan to improve that, not just in these communities, but across the province?
You know something, I had a whole list of how much we put in homeless shelters. I should have grabbed it off my assistant, but it's staggering amounts of money we poured into this area. And Sam, I think I asked you to send it over. Maybe you'd know better than I would in the region.
Sure. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Premier. So in 2023-2024, the province announced an 86% increase to the homelessness prevention program funding for the Niagara region. It had been approximately $11 million in annualized funding. That has now gone up to over 21 million, or close to $21 million in annualized funding. The result of that funding you can see in different locations here in St. Catharines. I know we're going to be bringing Minister Flack by. We've had Minister Calandra when he was Minister of Housing with Mayor Siscoe to see exactly how those investments are being rolled out. Another big piece, though, is also the mental health and addiction recovery treatment sites that has been announced, over $6.5 million a year, again, in new annualized funding going into this region, which is going to provide supportive wraparound housing for many of those individuals who are in encampments and, frankly, struggling often with mental health and addictions as well. So this is a government that has massively increased the envelope to Niagara region, which was a long-standing advocacy effort from the region through successive governments who never listened. This is the Premier and the Minister who did.
And also, if I could add, recently $85.5 million at the end of last year to support the removal of encampments has gone in to support municipal partners as well.
Yeah, I'd
change it.
probably be there for another 20 minutes. If Jules ever pulled that up on the screen, I'd read it off. Like, literally, the list is this long, the tens of millions of dollars we put into the region. It was staggering. When she gave me the list, I said, I'll take a half an hour reading all this off. So this region's getting a lot of love, a ton of love, actually.
All right, this one's a little off topic. In Hamilton, fewer than half of public schools in the city have proper air conditioning, and the board is saying it will take upwards of $200 million to fix that. Well, what can you do to help?
Well, we've increased funding from 20 billion up to 30 billion, and we're building $16 billion of new schools across the province. Let's all remember 7 years ago, the Liberals closed 600 schools. We have never closed any, and we're building 16 billion more schools. But I also want to give Paul Calandra credit, Minister of Education. We're actually, for the first time, we're holding the boards accountable. I get more complaints from teachers that can't stand the boards, by the way, parents and administrators, and examples of school boards. I'll give you my two favorite. You know, out in Brant, the school trustees thought it was a great idea to spend $100,000 on a junket over to Italy. Or no, I'm sorry, $125,000 of the taxpayers' money to buy $100,000 of beautiful Italian artwork. I love Italians, I love their artwork, but you aren't going flying over to Italy to buy artwork. Like, this is a waste of money. And my favorite is the TDSB. That place is a mess, so we're going to straighten that out. But TDSB has a great idea. Let's complain to the provincial government. We don't have money, but let's go out and get a private box for $21,000 to go watch a Blue Jays game because they're entitled. That's the difference. So we're going to hold them accountable. We're always going to fund infrastructure when it comes to schools. We're always going to continue building schools, unlike any government in recent memory. So that's what we're going to do. But the school boards, you got to get your act together because we're coming.
Premier Ford, Mark from Cogeco.
Yes.
It's my understanding that the province has been exploring some bold ideas and strategies to grow tourism in Niagara. With you being in the area today, I was hoping you could provide an update.
Yeah, but before I hand it over to Mayor Diodati, because he's been the cheerleader, and I know Sam has right behind him too, we're going to turn this, it's already beautiful, but we're going to make it a destination that everyone in the world comes here, and Mayor, you can correct me when you get up here, but 11 million people visit Niagara Falls. But the plans being led by Mayor Diodati, like, they're out of this world. So I went to see some Americans, and Governor Hochul always, says, oh, Niagara's beautiful and everything. And then there was someone beside him, they said, but Niagara Falls, Ontario is much nicer than Niagara Falls, New York. So we get a lot of tourists from Niagara coming over, and we welcome them with open arms. But go ahead, Mayor, because you're the biggest champion, and so is Sam.
Thank you, Premier. Yeah, so Destination Niagara is the program that the province is bringing forward through Minister Cho, Minister of Tourism and Gaming. It involves many aspects, including the infrastructure necessary to handle the growth in tourism. In Niagara Falls, 40,000 people count on tourism to feed their families, and some of the underutilized opportunities are things like our airport. A lot of people here locally, and this airport is owned by the City of Niagara Falls, City of St. Catharines, and the town of Niagara-on-the-Lake. It's an underutilized asset. We're the biggest population in Canada without regular daily scheduled flights. The opportunity this presents by adding 2,500 feet to the runway, we can have 737s, an Airbus 220s and 320s coming and going, expanding our GO train. This is part of the program to hourly service, investing in gaming and non-gaming opportunities, things that'll be attractions in Niagara Falls, and as well, major investments with, we've got the chair of the Niagara Parks Commission here, Bob Gale, and I know the Premier's working very closely with the Parks Commission to bring more tourism. And as I mentioned earlier, 40,000 people count on tourism. This is the way to service, as they say, brush the teeth you want to keep, and the Premier's all over this one. Thank you, Premier.
Thank you. And maybe just to build on that, I don't want to speak for too long, but I will say that once you start going into the list of the investments that have been made since this government came to office, I can tell you growing up in the Niagara region, it often felt like the world ended at the Burlington Skyway and Niagara didn't matter. But this is a premier and a team who even this week alone, you know, we had Minister of Environment down on Monday, we had the Minister of Tourism, Culture and Gaming down on Monday, coming and visiting with Mayor Diodati and with other folks. The premier has been down since the beginning of this year 7 times. That's more than once a month. I did the math on that. Every time they come down, they don't just come down, they share good news. So I'll give a couple examples of what that looks like. You talked about the airport. The feasibility study for that expanded airport and the tourism it will drive was in the 2025 budget. You talk about the grape and wine sector and the massive growth. We visited some sites that are expanding for the first time because they're now seeing the stability through the tax reforms that are going to be adding dozens of new wineries. I've spoken with people who are investing tens of millions of dollars into the region, into that sector, finally because of the tax reforms that this premier and the Minister of Finance have led. $35 million for the Shaw Centre. I mean, they have single-handedly turned some of the worst off-shoulder seasons in the fall and in the winter into some of the best seasons supported by this government. Minister Cho, I won't steal any of his thunder, but he has big plans around a Destination Ontario and Niagara strategy. You talk about $25 million for the Niagara Park site, where the power station is now bringing in hundreds of thousands of people to this region because of the incredible history that's at that site. The Canada Games site, $41.1 million from the Ontario. I always get a little scared telling all these numbers because then I go back and then the Minister of Finance says, well, it sounds like you got a lot. I don't know how much more you need. But seriously, Niagara is getting treated so well when it comes to tourism because it's such a big economic driver and because, as the Premier said, globally, you know, 14 million people come every year to this region, and we know we can hit 20 pretty soon with the right supports. Thank you.
Yeah, and as the Mayor said, Chair, you're doing a great job, and our regional chair too, thank you for all your support too.
This will be the last reporter.
Mr. Premier, Jamie with City TV.
Hey, Jamie.
Toronto Police, along with other police forces right now, is having a press conference regarding tow truck violence. Some of the numbers are pretty staggering. 13% of the gun-related shootings in Toronto and area in 2024 were a result of the tow truck industry or involved the tow truck. 2025, it was 15%. They have some pretty staggering numbers about the crimes, mass shootings, fire bombings. The tow truck industry falls under the Ministry of Transportation. You've tried to regulate it before. Is there anything else you can do to try and bring this industry back into control?
Yeah, good question, Jamie. So we've put a task force together headed up by the OPP, Commissioner Creek, and all the other regions around there. Isn't it a shame, Jamie, because there's some really good, honest, hardworking tow truck drivers that are just trying to make a living. And then there's some really bad dudes, and they're just bad. And if they start shooting up, they need to go to jail. They need to have their tow truck confiscated. The company they're working for needs to be held accountable. Like, guys, we've been up here 100 times. Like, get your act together. Like, if you want to start shooting streets up, you're going to bring heat like you've never seen before. We're going to catch you, and you're going to jail. Like, get it together. I've never seen anything like it. But this all goes back to making sure the federal government does bail reform, make sure they have mandatory sentencing. Now, if you commit a heinous crime or you try to hurt the community, you need to go to jail for a long time. And then that message goes to all their buddies, all the gangsters, and they're saying, hey, we aren't going to get a slap on the wrist. We're going to federal penitentiary for years. That will wake them up real quick. I can tell you, Jamie, talking to everyone, and I talk to a lot of soccer moms are my favorite because they're the matriarchs of their family. They're terrified to go out at night, to go on the subway, to go anywhere because they're terrified something's going to happen. You can't have lawlessness, and we're going to come down hard and heavy on these criminals to make sure communities are safe. We all grew up, we never had to worry about guys running around with guns. We got to get back to that. So we're heavy on making sure we hold people accountable and getting the court system fixed once and for all, and making sure we hire tough on crime judges. That's the solution. Letting them off on bail to recommit the crime the next day doesn't cut it because they have no fear. They have to have fear.
I understand that there is a federal responsibility that is being debated, but there's also a provincial responsibility here. Tow trucks are licensed. Is there something that the province can do?
Yeah. So the minister did that. I think it was under Carolyn Mulroney that we switched that whole program to make sure, and you see signs on the highways. So, you know, an accident, and all of a sudden you see 20 tow trucks all going, you know, going at it. No. We have contracts with certain reputable tow truck companies. And if you mess around and you break the law, the license is done. They're done. But man, they're playing Russian roulette. Like, we aren't messing around. We're going to pull their license and catch them if they commit a crime, and they're going to jail. Simple as that. But do you know what it is, folks? People, I've never seen it in 30 years. Our family's been in politics, 3 generations. I've never seen a fever pitch that people are fed up with all the nonsense and crime and not feeling safe. Never seen it before like this. That's right up there. That's the healthcare, economy, and crime. Usually crime used to be down on number 10 out of 10. Now it's right up in the top. People are done with this.
That concludes our press conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. You take care. God bless. Thank you.